Oh boy, Sigmund Freud is relevant to neuroscience again, something that really hasn't happened since he was a neuroscientist roughly 100 years ago. Yep, that's Sigmund Freud, and he was actually a neuroscientist. That always surprises me because he is considered the father of psychoanalysis, and many of the principles he came up with are still used in psychology today, although a great deal of them have been dismissed as not true. Not everything is about your mother. Or is it? Because these researchers from Norway published a paper comparing modern-day neuroscience to Sigmund Freud, some things that he may have gotten right, at least partially right, even by coincidence. This is based on the modeling of our brains as predictive models. There is a great deal of evidence from multiple areas of neuroscience. Have you ever called somebody by the wrong name, or maybe you have siblings and you use the wrong name, or perhaps children and you mix them up with pets? There's good evidence that your brain is actually categorizing those groups as similar. They're in the same box. You might pull up the correct area of the information, so this person is younger than me, and end up with a pet's name. There is also quite a bit of evidence out there for our brains modeling an action before we take them. Before our brain knows what we're going to do, somewhere inside of us we already knew. That part is also reasonable, considering we don't really know where consciousness is in the brain. It's quite likely distributed across our brain, as in all parts are important to be us. In terms of categorization, so let's say you call a teacher mom or something like that. When we are retrieving a memory, it's not perfect. You have to replay the memory in miniature as you're thinking about it. So there could very easily be hallucinations, and I say that more in the AI term, just miscategorization. So how does this all come back to Freud? Well, he also believed that we were somewhat of a prediction engine, that our past experiences inform our future desires and choices and neuroses. Everything came back to some developmental stage. If you look through the literature, you probably can find evidence that people tend to choose partners that look more like their parents, or even neuroscience studies on it. Yeah, that stuff exists. And yes, neuroscience does seem to be pointing in the direction of a predictive engine for our brains. But Freud did not have that down 100 years ago, and the idea that our actions and desires are based on our past experiences, the only other possibility is that it's entirely genetic, which for a long time was believed, and that could potentially be very damaging, and was. But I do want to talk about how psychotherapy fared, because psychotherapy is not effective for many conditions. For things like depression, it's on par with medication, and neither one particularly helps. But what does help is a combination of medication and psychotherapy. There's actually a whole host of research out there about psychoanalysis causing people to come to conclusions that are just incorrect, or believing things that never happened to them. It was a dark time in psychology history. I will say, though, I am more interested in this wacky idea, and that is the convergence between our brains and artificial intelligence, and yes, we do process information remarkably similarly. When you reach into your mind to try to find a memory, you are not grabbing that exact memory. Instead, you're doing predictive modeling based on associations. This is the same reason why you can walk and talk at the same time. It's the same reason why you can navigate through your living room in the dark, because you know the layout subconsciously. If you put conscious effort into absolutely everything you do, you would not continue to breathe and talk at the same time. Or walk and chew gum. And yeah, you can model how an AI processes information to an fMRI in people. That does not make it a one-to-one, but yeah, they do have some similarities. This may just be virtue of how data can be processed and the most effective ways to do so. So if we're making a machine that's supposed to process that data, yeah, it might look very much like a brain. But yeah, I'm not really buying that Sigmund Freud is relevant, to be honest. I hope you've enjoyed this. Follow me for more.